Hello and welcome back to the Real Estate RoundUp podcast. I'm your host, Kobe Zinn, and I am joined here by my two co-hosts today, Tony Flores and Andres Martinez. How are you guys doing today?
Awesome.
Awesome. Awesome. How
It
are y'all
is
doing?
I'm doing great. It is great to have you both here join us on the show. I know in the past couple of weeks we have had either one or the other join us on our podcast, but today we have the full roundup of hosts with us today, and we're going to get the full experience here on the Real Estate Roundup podcast. So I'm super excited because today we are going to be talking about what does a real estate agent do for buyers. So if you are in the market to buy real estate, to invest in real estate, we're going to be breaking down all of the things that a real estate agent will be doing for you and just what these services are that a real estate agent provides for their buyer clients. So I think it's going to be a really relevant and interesting topic today. But before we dig into that, I'd love to catch up with you guys. I know it's been a while. So we'll start with you, Tony. I know you've been working on some things and you just got back from some educational classes as well. So what have you been up to in the past couple weeks?
Yeah, so I've been pretty busy working on getting this flip done, and it has been pretty interesting, pretty challenging in some regards. But every challenge has a solution. So the main thing is I want to make sure I work to get my best foot forward and do the rehab the way I would want it to be done if I were to be living in the house. So just taking some extra steps and trying to make sure I don't take shortcuts, because details really matter, and I just want to make sure I'm getting the house as done well, and people are going to be happy with the end result. So doing that, had multiple houses listings and such. I have a land listing, had a um, home listing. Got that one. The home listing went under contract over ask, which was great. Land listing, we're under the contract. We're having some discussions. It might not go through on that one, but I had another one that the market has definitely been kind of picking up after a bit of a lull, and I think that's just the timing of um, activities, and when people are ready to do things or out of the holidays and things like that. And also wrapped up the last couple of days, I was busy doing and a training from National Association of Realtors, which we are all part of, and our company EXP Realty is standing by NAR. And we, with NAR, there's dues and there are designations that are available. There's training, much like similar to a lot of other professions. We have continuing education. Some are just required, and some we just like to go to because we have an interest in helping people in those. And so I just am going to get a designation now because I completed the classes as a buyer's representative. So it's an ABR class. So it's nice. I have other requirements that are also had to be fulfilled. I had already previously fulfilled those, so just waiting to get the paperwork squared away on it.
Nice. So you've been up to a lot of different things. So if you guys are wondering why Tony wasn't here for the past couple weeks on our show, now you guys know what he's been up to, right? He's been sharpening the axe, if you will, and getting some things done on the investment side of the business as well. What about you, Andres? I know you've been taking on this new role that we talked a little bit about for the past week, and you've been up to a lot of things as well. So I'd love to catch up with you.
So I have been working as a new home sales consultant. So I've been there for about 14 days. I've learned a lot. I am soon to get my subdivision that I'll be working in and that I'll be in charge of. So as far as for me, I get to see how the process is done as far as working with a new home builder. Um, because I was a realtor prior to this, I know how I can be a resource and how I can better help real estate agents kind of get to their goals. I want to be the resource, that if they need help, I'm able to cross sell all across San Antonio, Bernie, New Braunfels, even Seguin. So I just want to be that resource that if an agent needs uh, property and maybe they only have a couple of days, I'll be able to give them a list. I'll be able to show them some opportunities and kind of help them take care of their clients.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So you are in a new role, like we said, and you're doing great at it. It sounds like, and providing a lot of value to real estate agents who are going to be essentially representing buyer clients as well. And I think a big theme of today's topic is going to be something that I think Tony you mentioned a little bit earlier, which is every challenge has a solution, right? And I think real estate agents are going to be that problem solver for a lot of buyer clients. So let's dig right into it. Love to get both of your takes first and foremost on what does a real estate agent do for their buyer clients. So we'll start with you, Tony, and then we will go to you, Andres.
Okay, so there's so many different things that a buyer's agent can provide to their client. Uh, the most important thing is providing listening skills to what they're trying to achieve, what their goals are, and how so that way they can kind of determine how they can best move forward with them. It's similar to if you go to a doctor, you're going to say, hey, this is what's going on with me, and then the doctor can kind of diagnose. Well, it's a similar consultation generally up front with people who are interested in buying. Okay, so are they renting right now? Are they living somewhere, living with someone else and they're just ready to buy? Are they moving from an area of town to another, or just want to move up, maybe scale back, or different things like that? So, first thing is really important. Find out what their goals are, what their needs are, and then kind of determine now. Okay, so typically we start asking about, okay, so what's your budget, and what are you comfortable paying for the month? That's where is we get a general idea, and then we kind of focus on what area of town, what the needs are of their home. Are they looking for something with a big backyard? Are they looking for something that's close to family members or close to work? Or what typically are they trying to achieve? And I I myself, I tend to kind of like, if their scope is right here, I try to move it out just a little bit, because there might be something just a little bit outside of that, maybe that particular area, or they're even if it's just slightly below their budget or slightly above, we don't know, because the one that's slightly above their budget possibly could come down or offer different things, which makes it within their budget. So I kind of try to bring the scope out, and then just have more to pick from, more to choose from. That way I can help them navigate that. So that's just really probably the initial thing. And man, it maybe, we'll talk about what that's kind of more initial consultation. And there's certainly more things down the line, so I don't want to keep going. I'll let Andres kind of pick up from there after the initial consultation.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great recap of kind of like what an agent will do with a buyer in the beginning. So yeah, same question to you, Andres. What is it that a buyer's agent do for their actual buyer clients?
So I know there's always been like a misconception on how some people think it's really, really simple to do a realtor's job or do a real estate agent's job. Yes, we there's been a lot of development in technology, but a real estate agent is someone who is on the ground. They understand tax rates. They understand even school districts. They're able to provide you information. They're able to guide you through the process. They have mortgage companies that might be able to help you qualify when someone else denies you. So if one company's not offering a specific program, because that real estate agent has different resources, they're able to reach out to another mortgage company that might be able to take a riskier loan or and provide a service to a first time home buyer. Sometimes you might need a little bit of work on your credit, where if the real estate agent has built a good rapport with the lenders, some lenders might offer free credit repair. So a real estate agent builds relationships and has resources that a person who is not in the industry and doing this day to day might not have access to. I understand that we all love technology, and there's a lot of things like we don't we're more accustomed to take an Uber now than to jump in a cab. Um, that's a specific service where that works, where technology just completely takes over. But as far as real estate, um, there's a lot of information, there's a lot of dates that need to be accounted for that the real estate agent has the experience to facilitate that. A lot of people say, man, I had a long day at work today. Imagine getting off of work and you're working your own uh, real estate contract and your own deal, and then you have to do the realtor's job that day. You might oversee some things, so I definitely think there should be an appreciation for real estate agents.
Yeah, I love that you shared that because, even when your example of like having an Uber, right, versus taking a cab, there's nobody replacing the actual driver, at least not yet, right? Tesla's on coming up, right, with all their new technology, but as of right now, you still need somebody, right? If you're getting in a car, you want somebody to drive that car, right, in order to fully trust it to not just crash into a tree as it was going on its own. So I think that is a really good, I would say, example to what a real estate agent does in a transaction is they are the service providers that are helping you as the buyer, navigate the intricacies of a transaction. They're not just somebody who is, pushing paper, if you will, or, filling out documents for you. This is somebody who is a knowledge of resource. This is somebody who can provide you with the tools and the contacts and the network of people that they have in order for you to actually get into the home that you want to get into, right? So a lot of times you don't even know where to start. And real estate agents, as we all know, is kind of the starting point for a lot of, especially first time home buyers, to get that resource and start that journey. So as far as talking about problems and the problems that buyers can run into, what would you guys say are some of the more common problems that a buyer would run into in the transaction of purchasing a home, and how does a real estate agent come in and help them solve that problem? So again, we'll start with you, Tony, and then we'll get your take on this, Andres.
Yeah, so problem solving, it's just something that we as agents are typically we want to be proactive. So we want to look at, there's a lot of different paperwork that comes across if the client is interested in a home. So we have the seller's disclosure. So the seller's disclosure is a multi-page document. Typically here in Texas, it's like 6 pages. So it goes through and, it goes through lots of different things. So generally speaking, if we are going to be making an offer on the property, we want to see what kind of disclosures were in the MLS system. We want to see maybe what disclosures are missing. Okay, we want to know, is there things to watch out for, like a solar panel lien on a home? Is there a septic? Is there septic in the home or on the property? And if so, is there a report that goes along with a septic and different things like that? So there's different things that we can kind of perk up on based on what kind of property it is and things like that. So we are able to we can look at the seller's disclosure report. We can say, hey, they're mentioning this. So a lot of times on seller's disclosure, there'll be sometimes there's missing information on it. Sometimes there's missing signatures on it. So we have a seller's disclosure, but it's missing. It's 2 parties selling and only one party signing. So, we kind of are looking for we're looking for discrepancies, and we're looking for things also that stand out, like, oh, it looks like there was some work done at a certain time on this house, and what kind of information are they providing with that? It shows, there was termite activity potentially in the home. Okay, so was there a report that goes along with that? In some cases, there's, when somebody checks off the box, it says, if so, attach the report along with this document. And what happens? The reports are not there. They're not attached. So looking out for things like that are some of the things that we can help watch out for. And if we're doing a walkthrough on the home, so just through the course of our business, we've walked through lots of homes. We notice things that might stand out. We might see, there might be some flashing missing, or something that might need to be taken care of, knowing that this is, you know for instance, an FHA buyer. They have different requirements, so there's different things that we're paying attention to, besides the, does it match, with what their needs are and things like that. So um, different things like that, and a lot of them can be resolved. Lots of these things can be resolved, but if they can't, then we just have that awareness. We have a discussion. Hey, I'm looking for this, and they weren't unable to provide it, so we'll just ask them to provide it and things like that.
Right. So a real estate agent, they know what to look for when it comes to a transaction and helping a buyer, right? If this is the first time somebody's buying a home, they don't even know where to start. It's just kind of the information that's out there on the internet that they're looking at. And some of it may be accurate. And, in this day and age of all this information, some of that might even be inaccurate information, right? That they're looking at, or it might not be relevant because it might apply to, let's just say you were a buyer in Texas, but you looked up an article that was written about buying a home in Florida, right? It might not even apply to you.
Correct.
It's hyper local as well. So,
Yeah.
same question to
Also,
you on. Yeah. Did you have
sorry,
something
I
to
just
add to that?
add one more thing. Yeah, if it is a house in a flood zone, so there's different places we can look for flood zone. I think Andres has mentioned, tax rates and things like that. So I'll go ahead and let him talk.
No, that's a good
I,
point. Yeah. So, same
so
question to you.
So as far as for me, where I think an agent is most resourceful is managing emotions, right? So in the initial consultation and when they're first meeting with you, they're kind of screening and trying to see how they can develop a plan to help you. They're trying to see where they're going to run into some roadblocks, and they're trying to have a plan so when that question arises, they already have a solution. The more seasoned the agent, the better they're able to deal with emotions. So, as when I was an agent and as I got more experience, when a client will come and call me, hey, I just spoke to the loan officer. They're saying that they need this document. Why are they asking me for so many documents? And I'm like, well, if they're asking for documents and if you provide them, the process keeps going. Don't worry too much. Just provide the document in a timely manner. Um, if anytime a question is asked, they're anxious and they're nervous. They think, no, as long as the communication, if they're asking for a document, you got to provide that document. Underwriting needs that document to continue the process and to get you a clear to close. Provide that document and we push forward. Instead of making it an issue and passing on stress to your client, because you have that experience, until they say, hey, this is not working, that's when you try to seek other solutions. But as long as there's communication and they're asking for documents, we keep pushing forward. We provide those documents, and then you could get to your ultimate goal to purchasing your home. So a real estate agent is really good. They're like a counselor. They're really good with managing people's emotions. Sometimes you gotta let uh, a, a an issue. Sometimes there's small issues. You gotta let the loan officer discloses the issue. They disclose it to you. They disclose it to your client, and everyone's kind of nervous or afraid. Usually, if you're a seasoned agent and you're dealing with a seasoned loan officer, y'all both know, hey, we gotta see what we can do so we can make sure we get this to a clear to close. So taking a step back, breathing, letting everyone kind of everything settle. The loan officer is going to talk to their higher ups. You, as a real estate agent, if you don't have the answer, you have your broker, right, that you can communicate with. Maybe someone else within your brokerage has dealt with that specific issue. Once again, the agent has resources, the loan officer has resources. And if you're working with people that do this every day, then your transaction might seem seamless. But instead of the real estate agent passing that stress to you, they make sure they take care of those issues so you can have a clear head and just focus on the purchase of your new home. So I think managing emotions is a big under uh, underappreciated quality that real estate agents have.
Yeah,
Right.
great
Yeah.
point.
Yeah, that is
Great point.
actually a really good point. Yeah, of what a real estate agent does for their buyers, not just the technical side, but also the making sure that the deal doesn't fall apart side of it as well, and that is very,
Yeah.
very important. Um,
So let me just say also, what Andres is speaking to. Not only is it's very big for a lot of buyers because also home first time home buyers for sure because they haven't been through the process, and other buyers just because it's just a huge investment. The other part that I'll add on to that along with this is also the other soft skill is working well with other agents, playing nice in the sandbox, so to speak. So what are the agents and the other parties involved, how are they communicating, do they have concerns? So if I'm receiving those concerns now, what can I do to make sure that they're satisfied, that they're okay. I've got to convey maybe some information back and forth from the selling side versus the buying side, and really trying to, assuming all parties are definitely interested in moving forward with the sale. So how can I best communicate that with my buyers and also get the agent on board? Hey, we all have the common goal because we wouldn't have gone under contract if we didn't have this common goal. We have a willing buyer and a willing seller, and if we can get them to come to the closing table the way they intended to when they first signed the contracts, then we're doing good things. Um, and sometimes there's different parties that just kind of have little flare-ups, and how do we navigate through those? So those are some of the things that we do need sometimes a little bit of great tact and being able to help them with help everyone get through the proceedings, through the transaction, getting it clear to close and making everyone happy with the results.
Being able to advise and like the guidance of a real estate agent. Sometimes you might be a seller or buyer, and there might be a repair. That repair might be like $250, but everybody wants to win, right? And everyone will win, right? But if you're a seller and if you have a repair for 250, but you also have a mortgage on this house, you might need to either split the cost or, hey, if we do this repair, you no longer have a mortgage. Because in this day and age, and the markets and interest rates being high, you do not know when you might get another offer. So being able to make sure that that property closes, you might have to have that conversation with your seller that, hey, I know it's $250, but it's going to cost you $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 in the long run when we could just get this resolved and push forward. So just giving them the proper advice and guidance, letting them see that in the big picture, $250 might be a small amount to a bigger win, right? Which is being able to sell their home.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. A real estate agent is, if you think about it, it's almost like a coach or like a leader of some type where you're leading or coaching your clients to
Yeah.
get to their transaction, right? Get to where they want to go. So
Yeah.
you're the person that is actually guiding them, getting them to that point.
Right.
So I would love to kind of get your kind of dig into each of your experiences specifically and see if you guys have any examples of working with buyer clients in the past where maybe they ran into an issue and you were able to help them resolve that issue, so that way they can either get to a successful closing or avoid some type of pitfall where they would have made a terrible mistake. So we'll start with you, Tony. Could you think of any examples like that where you were able to help a buyer either avoid a mistake or get to a successful closing?
Yeah, I think I've kind of mentioned a few in the past, so I'm trying to draw on a different experience. So I'm going to say probably one of the ones that I'm thinking about. Um, a client of mine was interested in making an offer on a home, and we we did make the offer on the home. It was, I think it was $50,000 less than the asking price, and it, to me, sounded like a pretty big ask. But the house had been on the market for a while, and then just having the discussion with the agent, um, having that discussion, why he, so the other part is, if you want to justify whether you think that they will accept it or not, it's best to present it in a way so you can justify it. Client is definitely interested in that home, and the some of the things that they saw that they were, are don't make it right for them is X, Y, and Z. And so, because of that, they're looking to make an offer, and they're a strong buyer and they can close. So, so I'm explaining, justifying, what the issue is. It's not going to be a full price offer, but I'm working off of how credible he is as a purchaser, and how well how easily it can get closed if they do move forward and accept the price. The price which in this case would be a price reduction for the seller, and then just talking through that and conveying it instead of just saying, emailing, here's the offer, you know, hopefully it works for y'all, take it or leave it, that kind of thing. So yeah, just having conversations like that. And yeah, we were actually able to get that resolved, get that under contract with my buyer's um, first price submittal. So we got that resolved, and then a little further down the lane, there was a issue when came up with on the same house with the water heaters. It was so there was another further reduction as well. But so some of those things are some of those interesting conversations to have, things like that.
Right. Yeah. So I think it's important for people to understand that it's in the real estate agent's job description that the real estate agent is supposed to protect their clients, right? You have a fiduciary duty to your clients. And a lot of times, right, a client will want to have somebody essentially representing them on these negotiations, kind of like the scenario that you were bringing up, Tony, where it's not the client themselves disclosing information maybe they shouldn't be disclosing in a negotiation. And an agent, you're supposed to actually protect your buyers, and the information that they give to you, and not disclose sensitive information or information that might hurt your clients in
Right.
negotiations. So a lot of times you see, like in business, people will send out a negotiator or have a lawyer represent them in negotiations with other parties, and that is a big reason why. It's not just that they have you know certain skill sets, but it's so that you can have somebody else protecting your interests in that negotiation, so that you may not accidentally disclose something that might hurt you in that process. So that is very, very important. And same scenario to you, Andres. Can you think of an example in your past when you were working with other buyer clients where you were able to either protect them or help them navigate a transaction successfully?
So one that sticks out to my head is one where I didn't get the closing on the house, but I protected my client's earnest money, right? We were in negotiations for repairs. There was this real high ticket repair that needed to get rectified. The seller did not want to rectify that, which I thought it was kind of disheartening because it probably would have been covered through their home insurance, right? And it was a pretty high ticket cost, but it was something that could have been rectified through the home insurance. But they were stuck to, hey, I'm not repairing that. I'm no longer going to live here, so it's not my responsibility, right? But what I was on the buyer's side. What the seller should have known is for you to be able to get a mortgage loan. For some mortgage loans, they require that certain things um, be taken care of prior to you closing. If not, they would not sign off on that loan, and then you're not able to get the funds to purchase that house. So, because we had our hands tied, I made sure all the proper documentation was there. I make sure while this is happening, the other agent is on vacation and things are happening. So I need to make sure there's emails, there's the correct documentation being sent out, and that I'm protecting my client's earnest money. So everyone that was a part of the transaction, I made sure I copied them. I made sure everyone's aware what was happening, and I was able to timestamp and make sure that my client got their earnest money back. Now, you might say, hey, Andres, well, you didn't close on that property. No, but I protected my client, right? I made sure that my client's money was protected, and then they were able to continue and find another home. But at least, and sometimes earnest money could be 35, 45, it's usually 2% of the loan price. In some instances, it could be 1%. This instance was a very nice property, and we were trying to show that we had uh, true interest in purchasing a home. It just didn't work out for us.
Right. Right. Absolutely. So it's not just about, right? It's not like we mentioned earlier, it's not just about getting somebody to closing. It's about protecting your clients, protecting their interests. And as a huge part of a real estate agent's scope of service and their job is they're supposed to protect their clients in a very litigious transaction, in a transaction with a lot of moving parts. And for somebody who is trying to approach this without any of that experience, they definitely should have somebody there in order to protect them and protect their interests in these talks, negotiations, and moving through the process of closing on a transaction as well. Even if it means, right, if the correct scenario where walking away from the deal is better for the clients than actually going through with it, the real estate agent will know, and they'll actually be able to protect the buyer clients. So I think we're going to wrap up with this question. And it's a very relevant question because, as we all know, nobody in this world works for free, right? Your doctors and lawyers and engineers and software designers, right? They all get paid for their job and their services. So a real estate agent will also get paid for their services as well, or compensated for their services. So I'd love for you guys to kind of explain in your own way what is the compensation for a real estate agent? How are real estate agents compensated? And specifically, how are real estate agents compensated when they are working with a buyer? So we'll start with you on this one, Tony, and then we will wrap up with this with you, Andres.
Okay, so yeah, and there's a lot of stuff that's been in the news recently. So I'll kind of say, I'm gonna kind of go maybe backwards to present, right? So you know, 20, 30 years ago, there was a home on the block for sale. There was one agent that managed that home sale, and if somebody wanted to purchase it, they would go to that agent and say, "I want to buy that house." And then so this person was had their relationship with the seller, and that person really kind of held the cards and was able to really kind of more or less dictate the terms of the sale and things like that. And what happened was, years ago, they felt like there was too much power with this one agent, and this just went for everyone. With the agents that had the listing, there was too much power, and they what introduced what's called a buyer's representation agreement. The buyer's representation agreement meant that this person now could go to this person who had, so we have a buyer and seller here, and then we have a buyer and seller, and then we have uh, I'm sorry, we have a seller's agent, and we have a seller, and now we have a buyer's agent, and we have a buyer. And now we have both parties are represented. So in this case, so what they changed was that this sell the professional fee, the service fee to sell the home was going to be split, and typically it's split evenly with the buyer's agent. So the fee, the service fee, the compensation for selling the home typically would then it would get split with the buyer's agent. So now, what's changed here? So that's kind of two different ways of doing that. And then now, what's happened now is now there's been some discussion saying, well, this was the norm, but there's not enough visibility. You have to really say, okay, this fee, the compensation needs to be negotiated, and then the compensation for the other agent has to be negotiated, and the seller needs to be able to know what both fees are, and if there will be compensation for the agent on the other side offered. So right now, our in the way it's been has been the selling agent, the listing agent, has been able to publish that. And now what's going to change coming up is they're not going to be able to publish it, because the the buying agent is not going to necessarily know what the compensation is going to be part of, what compensation will be had. But that's going to be something that's going to be thrown into the mix, likely, in my opinion, is now we have another point um, of negotiation. So before or currently, it's already been established, and now it's just going to be like, okay, well, since no percentage can be published, or no fee can be published in upcoming in the way it's intended to pass, now it's kind of unknown. So now, will the buyer need to pay the agent out of their own checking account, or will their fee be able to be still compensated through the seller, or will the fee be able to be rolled into, like like anything else, like their mortgage? There's a little bit there's a little bit of things up in the air at this point in time. We don't know exactly what the end result will look like, but at the end of the day, the compensation for agents, it's, I'll kind of show you what I learned from a gentleman called, his name is Nolly Williams. He says, it's really not, it's one fee, but it's kind of broken up in multiple ways. So we have, of course, we have a brokerage, and we have expenses. So think about expenses from a buyer's agent perspective. They have, of course, their gas and the time that they spend on that transaction, and there's also the the brokerage. So between the brokerage, what's the broker gets a split, because the broker is who's managing the agent, and they have different technologies and things like that. So the broker is taking a percentage of that fee, and of course the driving time, things like that. And of course there's uh, federal income taxes. Nobody can get away from that. So between those that one commission there, it gets split multiple ways. So the agent ends up with not a huge piece of that pie, believe it or not. And so yes, agents are compensated at a certain rate depending on what gets negotiated, and it's always been able to be negotiated up front. Now we're just going to be more there's going to be more visibility into it, and more discussion around it. But at the end of the day, what people see and on the closing document isn't necessarily what the agent is receiving. And of course they have to pay for supplies, or
Dues.
all those sorts of things.
Right. Absolutely. And that's a really good point again you brought up, is when they introduce the buyer's agent, it's so that they can protect the buyer client. Right? Because the sellers and the seller's agent, they had full control over, the negotiation. The buyers were almost like, deer in headlights, and they were lost, right?
Yeah.
Especially if they have no idea what's going on.
Yeah, they didn't know if the house was worth it necessarily. They didn't, there's a lot of, there could have been disclosures or things that were not provided, so there's the way it seems like it's been most recently, not necessarily. So the way it seems like it's been most recently, it's been a fair deal for both parties. That's the way it was intended. That's the way they had it running for multiple years, and now things are kind of thrown into a lot of different things. Have created a big mix, including new home buyers, VA buyers, and things like that. So there's a whole lot of questions that still need to be answered.
Yeah, because the buyer cannot pay their own representation through the VA, right?
That's correct. That is right.
So that law is either going to have to change, or there's some type of they're going to have to reword that specific guideline.
That's right. Now, Andres is a veteran, and so thank you for your service, Andres.
Right.
So right now, the way things are, and it's written on the contracts, there are certain things that a veteran may not pay out of their own pocket, out of their own, from their own pocket, and that one of those things is the agent's compensation. So what will change? Will that be removed? Will it be now rolled into the loan, or how are some of those changes going to happen? Right now we don't know full picture, so we're just kind of preemptively just having discussion on things. Those are some of the things that we've talked about, we've discussed, and heard through other sources as well.
Right. Absolutely. And we'll make sure to keep you guys all updated as we get these news, right? We'll round up the news, and we'll share it with you guys. So
I personally think real estate agents are here to stay. There's a lot of value to real estate agents. We do not know how the compensation as far as for a real estate agent is going to be. I know we have a big date here around July where the law is going to take into effect, and then thereafter it'll be a little bit more clear. What I am going to tell you is I am a sales consultant with Legend Homes, and they have communicated with me that they understand the value of an agent, and that they will still be given an agent commission on the purchases of their homes. So if that's a kind of refreshing to an agent, a lot of these home builders still see the value of an agent, and they also want their clients to be properly represented on both sides. So it's awesome to share that news. That's where I think I'm going to be of value to a real estate agent, where I'm going to be able to connect that. I have an appreciation because I'm not too far separated from being an agent, but just kind of understanding and kind of meshing both sides together where I can be a resource to an agent is something I'm really looking forward to.
Yeah, Absolutely. And that's really refreshing because, these new home builders, right? They're selling properties essentially. It's their properties, right? They've built it, but they're selling houses. That's their business, right? They're doing that every day. So they know when they see this industry more than like the typical seller or the typical, one-time first-time home buyer. So they know the value of an agent, better than anybody because they've done these transactions so much and they work with so many agents, good ones, bad ones, ones in between, and they realize that there is still a lot of value, even in the buyer working with a real estate agent. So this has been very insightful, I think, for anybody looking to buy real estate agents out there who might be a little bit fearful after this past couple weeks. And just the general public, right? To give you guys the correct information, to round up the news and round up, accurate information for you guys to be able to make a decision on your own in order to protect yourself, whether you're buying or selling real estate. So I want to thank you guys for sharing your insights, and make sure to reach out to either Tony or Andres if you guys have any real estate needs. If you're a real estate agent looking to partner up or get mentored by somebody very experienced like these two gentlemen here, make sure to look at the links in the description of this video down below, and we'll make sure to take care of you and protect you either as a buyer or if you're a real estate agent, come in and help you build a successful career as well. So without further ado, guys, I want to thank you guys for your time. I know it's been a cool episode, and we'll see you on the next episode of the Real Estate Roundup. Take care.
Take care.